In today's class, I'm going to provide solution to this given problem, and this is just like exponential trig function or trig equation. Okay, so given that 16 sine squared x plus 16 cos squared x equals 10. So how many of you can solve this given question? Okay, so x is the unknown variable there, and the domain here is from 0 to what? 2 pi. So first thing we need to understand as a student is that this function here is just like you having a raised to the power of f of x plus b to the power of f of x to b to the power of g of x then equals k. So the first thing you need to understand here is, or to find, is the relationship between f of x and g of x. Remember, f of x here is sine squared x and g of x is cos squared x. And one of the identities trig function that we have is sine squared x plus cos squared x to be 1. Okay, so and what you just need to do now, we rewrite each of what you have at the left hand side, one of that in terms of the other one. Okay, so let's just make cos squared x here as the subject of formula. So when you make cos squared here, so you have cos squared x equals 1 minus sine squared x. So meaning that we just replace cos squared x here with 1 minus sine squared x. So the equation becomes 16 raised to the power of sine squared x plus 16 to the power of what? 1 minus sine squared x equals 10. Alright, and we could write this as 16 sine squared x plus 16 then over what? 16 to the power of sine squared x equals 10. Okay, so from here, let's 16 sine squared x be y. Okay, so let's represent 16 sine squared x to be y. So by that means any place you see 16 sine squared x, you replace that to be y. So now we're gonna have y plus 16 over y equals 10. And this is a quadratic equation. By the time you multiply both sides by y, so when you multiply both sides by y, you're gonna have y squared plus 16 plus 10y. Okay, and this can be written as y squared minus 10y plus 16 equals 0. Okay, so we need product of 16 and sum of minus 10, so we could use minus y minus 2 and y minus 8 equals 0. So this implies that y equals 2 or y equals 8. So these are the values of y. And don't forget, the given question is in terms of x, so we need to find x, not y. Okay, but you should remember from here that we let 16 sine squared x to be y. So we're gonna make use of that now. Since 16 sine squared x equals y, so let's start with the first value of y. So we have 16 to the power of sine squared x equals 2. So this is when y equals 2. Okay, and now 16 can be written as 2 raised to the power of 4 sine squared x then equals 2, and these two same as 2 raised to the power of 1. So for something like this now, what happens there, this will take this and you're gonna have 4 sine squared x equals 1. So by the time you divide both sides by 4, you have sine squared x equals 1 over 4. So what's the next thing here? We take square root of both sides. So square root of both sides here will give us plus or minus 1 over 2, which implies that sine x is 1 over 2 or sine x equals minus 1 over 2. Okay, so we consider each of these to get the values of x. Okay, now on the first one, but before I proceed, there are properties of trigonometry. One of the properties of sine is, please, this is very important, you need to pay attention here. So when you have sine x, this can be written as sine, this will give you the same result as sine 180 degrees minus x. Okay, but since the domain we are given here is in terms of radians, so in terms of rad, so I will just use pi instead of 180. So this can as well be written as sine x equals sine pi minus x. Okay, another property is sine x equals sine x minus or plus or minus 360 degrees. This in terms of degrees. So in terms of radian now, this can be written as sine x plus or minus what? 2 pi. So these two properties here are very important because we're going to make use of that in getting the solution for this given problem. Okay, so now let me go back to the values of sine x that we obtained. So don't forget we obtained two values for sine x, which are sine x equals 1 over 2 and sine x equals minus 1 over 2. So I will start from here. Okay, so to get x now, you take sine inverse of 1 over 2. So sine inverse of 1 over 2, that's going to give us what? That will give us pi over 6, and that is 30 degrees. So that's pi over 6. Okay, so this is the first value we obtained here. So now, and the other one here, sine inverse of minus 1 over 2, that will give us what? Minus pi over 6. So now let's apply the first property here for the two answers we obtained here. So remember the first property is, I'm not going to write that again. This is the first property, sine x equals sine pi minus x. So where the value of x that we obtained here is pi over 6. So which implies that x must give us same result as pi minus pi over 6. And this will give us what? 6 pi minus pi, that's 5 pi over 6. So these are the values of x that we obtain using the, what's it called, using the first property here. Now for the other one here, okay, so let's use the property here as well, which is x equals pi minus pi over 6. Okay, so this is gonna give us what? 7 pi over 6. So this is another answer to the solution. So remember the domain is from 0 to what? 2 pi. So the answer we must obtain here must be within the what? The domain. So that is why we cannot consider this as the actual value for the given problem. So we cannot consider this, all right, because it is outside the domain, which is minus pi over 6. Okay, so let's apply the second property. So second property, what do we have there? We have that to be when sine x same thing as sine x plus or minus what? 2 pi. So we consider the one that will give us the value that is within the domain. Okay, so this, which is going to be x equals pi over 6 plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, so if I consider plus here, that will be outside the domain. Okay, if I consider minus here as well, that will be outside the domain. So there is no solution here for this given domain. Okay, so let me consider this one. X equals, the angle we obtain here is minus pi over 6. That's minus pi over 6 plus or minus 2 pi. All right, so if I consider negative here, that would be outside the domain. I mean, if you consider minus 2 pi, so that would be outside the domain. So what we're going to consider here is plus 2 pi. So x equals to minus pi over 6 plus 2 pi. And that is, this should give us what? This should give us 11 pi over what? Over 6. And this is another solution to the given, this is another value of x. Okay, so from here now, we've gotten 4 values for x when y is 2. So these are the values of x that we obtain. Let me write that out. We obtain x to be pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over what? over 6. So these are the values of x that we obtain for y equals 2. Okay, so now we consider second values for y, which is what? 8. Remember that this is for only y equals 2, so we consider y equals 8 now. So when y is 8, when y equals 8, we have 16 sine squared x equals 8, and this is 16. This can be written as 2 raised to the power of 4 sine squared x equals 2 to the power of 3. And from here, this will take this, and you're going to have sine squared x equals 3 over 4. Okay, so you all know that we're going to take square root of both sides to get sine x. So by the time you do that, you have sine x equals plus or minus root 3 over 2. So which implies that sine x is root 3 over 2, or sine x is what? Minus root 3 over 2. So we do the same thing for this. We find inverse of that. So x equals sine inverse of root 3 over 2, and x here is sine inverse of minus root 3 over 2. Okay, so sine inverse of root 3 over 2, that's going to give us that should be 60 degrees. Yes, 60 degrees, and 60 degrees will give us what? Pi over 3. So this is pi over 3, while this is going to give us minus pi over 3. Alright, so we are not going to consider this as the answer to the given question because of the domain. This is outside the domain, so we consider pi over 3 as one of the answers. Okay, so let me put that in a box here. Okay, so now let's apply the property. The first property is that sine x equals sine 180 minus x. Well, we can change this to be pi minus x. So let's apply this. So this implies that x is downwards pi over 3. X is pi minus pi over 3. So this is going to give us what? 2 pi over 3. And 2 pi over 3 is within the domain, and where the domain is from 0 to 2 pi. Alright, so this is another answer to the given question. So let's consider this. Okay, so this is going to give us x equals pi minus pi over 3. So minus pi over 3, that's plus pi over 3, and that will be 3 pi over what? That will be 4 pi over 3. And this is another answer to the given question. Okay, so now let's apply the last thing to do is to apply the second property, where the property is sine x equals sine x plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, so, and don't forget x that we obtain in the first side here is pi over 3. So we put pi over 3 here, that will be x equals pi over 3 plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, if I use any of these, the answer I'm going to get will be outside the domain. So the first one will be pi over 3 plus 2 pi, which is more than 2 pi. So the second one will be pi over 3 minus 2 pi, which is less than 0 degrees. Okay, so we can use this one here. So let's consider the second one here. X equals minus pi over 3 plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, if I consider minus here, minus 2 pi, that's going to less than 0 degrees. So we can only make use of 2 pi. So which is x equals minus pi over 3 plus 2 pi. Right? So minus pi over 3 plus 2 pi, that's going to give us what? 5 pi over 3. And this is the last answer for this given question. So which is 5 pi over 3. So let's write the actual values of x out. So we obtain x to be pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, sorry. Okay, x equals pi over 3. Which other value do we obtain? 2 pi over 3. Okay, and what do we have again? We have 4 pi over 3, and the last one is 5 pi over 3. So which implies that there are 8 solutions, 8 values of x for this given problem, because we've gotten the first 4 values to be pi over 6, I think 3 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. I couldn't remember, but I think we've gotten that here already. Okay, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6. So altogether we have 8 values for x. Okay, and you can actually check each of that to see whether you are going to get the actual results there, which is 10. Okay, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.